You know what? That disconnection was so rude. I think I'm going to go onto my battle rap app and write you a diss track.
Hello.
Hello. You're through to another exciting episode of Therapy Sessions. You're here with me today, Mal, and my co-host,
Mustafa.
Great. Mustafa. Okay. Well, Mustafa, do you know why we're here?
No idea, mate. I literally just got a link and clicked on it, and I'm on a recording. I found myself on this recording. I have no idea what's going on.
Okay. Well, it's because our egregious usual co-host that I co-host with, Oz, couldn't be here today because he has stomach issues.
Oh, okay, I see.
Apparently, it's really bad.
I hope he dies.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. Well,
it's not. It's just wishful thinking or hopeful. You know, it might work. It might not work. We'll find out soon.
Okay. Well, let's.
Well, you don't know where to go from there.
I don't know where to go from there. No.
Guys, that was a bit dark. Hey, everybody, I'm Oz. Welcome back to our podcast.
Welcome to Mustafa.
Yeah. Whatever. All right, what are we talking about today?
Okay. Well, today I thought we'd talk about. We have one or two subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about either, or we can talk about. So, what do you fancy? Choice one or choice two?
I saw what you did there. It's a bit funny. I go for option number 3, which is both.
Oh, you want to talk about both? And okay,
dude, let's just start because I have no idea what the topic is.
Okay, well then you probably should have read the script.
What script?
What do you mean, what script? I'm not paying this guy to write the script for both of us for nothing.
Oh, there's no script.
His name is Kirindov Ikalam.
I have no idea who that is. Let's go. Come on. What's the topic for today? What are we talking about, mate?
Well, topic for today is undecided. Like I said, we've got option 1. Or instead, we can talk about option 2, which is...
Option 1. Let's go.
Option 1. All right. So, you had some thoughts on about toxic masculinity, which were that you didn't believe it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to elaborate?
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Where do I start? How do I go on about it? Like, what would you like to know about toxic masculinity?
Well, let's start with this then.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things where people talk about toxic masculinity nowadays. Mm-hmm. You said that you don't believe that toxic masculinity is a thing and that masculine things, just because something's masculine doesn't make it toxic.
Yeah.
No. What I said in retaliation to that, I can't remember how the conversation started, but I was saying that, well, I believe there are such things as toxic masculinity. For instance, growing up, I was raised to be a man, you know, like certain things that my dad would say growing up. I've always known my dad, but there are things like men don't hug.
Yeah.
Men don't share their emotions.
Okay.
Men have to be strong all the time. Right. And those things are great to have, and those things I do take to heart. But they are also things that prevented me from being as close in some of my relationships with my relationships with basically family members. To because there wasn't that level of there's nothing wrong with hugging somebody, you know.
Yeah.
But that does bring a whole new level of intimacy into a relationship.
Okay. All right.
So,
okay. I'm going to start with the definition of toxic masculinity. I just looked it up online.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes, toxic masculinity, a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and on society as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are on the side that it exists because of like some of the stereotypical ways you've been raised, like men don't hug, men don't say I love you, and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I agree, like I agree with that to some extent. The reason why I think toxic masculinity it doesn't exist is for me, masculinity is just masculinity. Yeah, okay. So you've been taught to repress your masculinity, and you are now older, and you realize, oh, actually, hugging is nothing bad. It's like just because like guys are hugging doesn't mean it's anything. It's actually a way of sharing the how I don't know, sharing love, sharing that you showing that you care about somebody or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to me, I would see it as masculinity not being expressed in its full um yeah, in its entirety, rather than it being toxic. It's just more like, okay, this is what masculinity is, but we're gonna like take everything else that looks a bit weak and just focus on the things that just makes you go, oh god, this, do that, you know. So
That's what toxic masculinity is. Yeah.
yeah, well, for me, like it's not toxic. It's more like repression, you know. So for like, okay, let's say hugging. Look, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with hugging. Like people hug all the time, but okay, based on where you grow up, it's seen as maybe feminine.
Yeah.
But to me, the way I've seen it in terms of context, to me, human is the human. So two humans touching bodies is just it's just cool. Now, okay, yes, these repressions might lead to something negative in society, I guess. And I guess that's why people say toxic masculinity. But I feel like what I'm arguing is just anytime somebody does something, like a dude does something that's people don't say somebody doesn't like or makes them feel a certain type of way, they call it toxic masculinity. So in
Yeah.
its entirety, I'm gonna like maybe take that back a little bit and say it exists, but the way I see it, like people are labeling literally almost anything to be toxic masculine, like toxic masculinity, when it's not. It's just people being people, you know. Also, like where do we draw the line? For example, okay, I don't like war, but I know it's necessary.
Yeah.
Is that toxic masculinity when two countries go to war? Like, especially, let's say, like you're the country that's winning, and like that would mean the men from your country would have to literally murder a lot of people for you to be protected. And people have been doing this since the dawn of humanity. We've been going to war literally non-stop. Is that
Okay, but
you know? So it's like
no, but no, no. Go back onto that because
go back
as
to
it stands as to today, yeah, we're not talking about history and stuff like that. We're talking about right now because
yeah,
yes, war prevalent, majority men in the history, but at the moment,
yeah,
I think there are a lot of women within the armed forces of
mhm,
many countries,
yeah,
many countries.
yeah.
In fact, it's rare that they're not. So, in what sense would you say war? So, how are you associating war to toxic masculinity?
No. I'm asking the question if it is toxic masculinity.
Why?
Like
Why
where
would it?
well, come on. It literally you taking somebody else's life. Like I know there's like women in like in armies and stuff like that. It's always they've always been in like the military forces, but majority is dudes, and dudes killing
Mhm.
each other. It's a horrible thing, but like I don't see anybody calling that toxic masculinity.
But when do you assign the gender? So, but where are you assigning the gender in that sense? So yeah, men killing men, but women
Yeah,
kill men, men kill women, and women kill women, and all that. Where is the gender assignment to call it a
exactly.
toxic
That's the thing.
masculinity?
It shouldn't be it shouldn't be assigned to any gender. Like if you're
You're
gonna
the one
call
that's just
something
assigned.
toxic, say
No,
again.
you've just assigned it. So you need to. So
No, no.
you need to clarify why you're associating that because
I don't
that's
think you
something that
get. I
you've
don't
just
think you get what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say was, yeah,
been.
okay. Let's say a guy grew up like, for example, for you, yeah, you've been taught not to hug people, like dudes, yeah,
Hmm.
and somebody might look at that and go, "Oh, this is toxic masculinity." And
Yeah.
my position is, I look at that and I go, "No, you've just been like somebody just was repressed and they just like
Okay, but
put
then
that
what's
on."
the difference to you between repression and toxicity?
Okay, well, in the definition is like if like we us doing having a trait that is detrimental to society. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for example, okay, robbery is detrimental to society, but we class it as just robbery. But if it's so, does that mean if a guy's doing it, then it's toxic masculinity? What if a woman robs and kills someone? I mean, there's not a lot of those happening, but it's happened where a woman would like rob, I don't know, whatever, and kill someone. there's no toxic femininity.
But
Yeah.
there is toxic femininity, and it's in the sense that's something different. But in regards to what you're saying, the reason why what you're saying isn't holding up, and that's what I was trying to query, is because what you're comparing it to isn't necessarily so. Like thievery and war and murdering isn't necessarily a masculine trait. It's a thing that happens.
It is.
But it's not a masculine trait.
It is. We all have a propensity for violence. We all do. But if, like, basically the most violent crimes are committed by men, that doesn't mean females are not capable of that. But what I'm saying, like, in most cases, it's dudes that are committing violent crimes, you know? So to me, it's just weird to just go, oh, it's toxic masculinity, and it's just applied to dudes alone, where it's like, no, people just can have like bad traits and do stuff that is detrimental to society. So it shouldn't just
still a different.
My point is, it shouldn't just be associated with guys. It should be a human trait, and that's it. We all have a potential to commit violence. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a different because there's two different scenarios that you're putting in there. On one hand, you're going about the war thing. That's one thing, but you got to, if you're talking about the masculine aspects of that, then you're talking about the tendency towards aggression. That's different. That's not necessarily war and things. That's why you can't use those ones as comparators. You can use aggression and more aggressive, but you can't just. You didn't say, oh, because these are mostly committed by men. You just wasn't associating the two. You have to be able to associate what you're talking about with your evidence. Otherwise, no one's going to know what you're talking about. Basically, I think things.
It just shouldn't be okay. The point that I'm trying to say is it shouldn't be associated with guys alone. I think it's a human trait. So the masculinity bit, just yeah. For me, masculinity is masculinity. Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, there's a side of masculinity that it's going to be, I don't know, good for people, and there's also a side that's bad. We take both of this, like, it's like both sides of the same coin, but the coin remains the coin, which is masculinity. So you can't just go like, oh, toxic masculinity. Like, no, it's all encompassed. It's all like in one. So masculinity is masculinity. Yeah, being completely masculine and all of that shit sometimes might harm people, but there's also benefits to that, you know.
Okay. Well, I guess it depends on what particular traits you're talking about, because toxic masculinity isn't just anything that's masculine is bad. I mean, if anyone would come with that argument, then I would inherently disagree.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. But that's kind of like what that's what people are like kind of like using it for. For example, like, I don't know. Okay, so say a girl. I don't know. Okay, let's say there's a dude who's very insecure. Yeah. He approaches a woman and he gets rejected. Yeah. And he does something insecure, like, oh, say, oh, well, you're ugly anyway, or, I don't know, pushes out, does something super weird.
Yeah.
That is associated with toxic masculinity. When the real thing was, this is an idiot who's insecure and doesn't know how to handle rejection. But for me, I think that it's just how it just, anything that a guy does that is deemed as negative is associated to toxic masculinity. I think that's just where I have a problem with it, you know.
I think when it comes down to it, it depends on the actual trend, because if a guy does something that's just either stupid, uncalled for, or even threatening to society or a particular person, or stuff like that, then if it's just the one guy, then okay, that's that person being an idiot. If it becomes a thing that every woman you know has some sort of story, or the majority of has a story about someone doing a similar thing, then it's obviously something to do with either nurture, nature, or just in general learned behavior, which is learned from somewhere. And that's where it becomes toxic masculinity, because it's something that everyone's having to experience, that, you know, everyone that's female that will have something to experience like that by not just one or two people, but it tends to be a trend where there's multiple people that go through the same things, just in different shoes.
Right.
And that's where it becomes toxic masculinity.
Okay, I still don't agree.
I still personally benefit, like personal benefits that I've had in my own life.
Yeah.
In terms of it, like I said, with the way like my dad raised me to be a great person, and the way my dad raised me was amazing. The way my mum raised me was amazing. You know, like I feel like I came out okay. Yeah. But I feel like I came out better than okay because I'm awesome. But yeah, no. But there are things that I have learned that I've had to unlearn. For instance, like I said as an example, was the things like hugging with my dad or telling my dad I love you.
Yeah.
Those are things that you don't say to men, is what I was raised on. And of course, that was only via that avenue that I was told not to do that. But it meant that the relationship that I had with my dad wasn't as close as other people have with theirs. Although I saw my dad every week, something small like that, it meant that growing up, it was hard to have proper conversations because it's like certain things that I would want to say, that I could share with my mum or my uncles or anything like that. I didn't feel like I could share with my dad because it's somebody that I can't even say I love you to or get a hug from. So how am I going to share what would be my vulnerabilities? And I think the reason why stuff like that tends to be labeled as toxic and why I found it to be toxic myself is because when I'd basically, I didn't manage to come out of that until I was about 20, 21, when I did some work experience around work experience volunteering, same difference, around the Afro-Caribbean Community Centre that we have here in this town that we live in, that we will not disclose. Anyway, so did some around there, and basically I was being a personal assistant for one of the managers there. And basically, she turned around and said to me, because she talked about the relationship she had with her dad. I don't even know how it came about. But then when I mentioned mine, she was like, no, that's not true. You shouldn't have to not say those things. You shouldn't have to do that. That relationship is for you to change. You know, that may be something that was growing up for your dad's era and your dad's era and everything, from parent to child, from parent to child, from parent to child. And it's something that carries through. Yeah. But it's up to you to change that. Yeah. And she said she had the same issues with her dad. Obviously, the relationship's slightly different because it's father-daughter, father-son. Yeah. But she was down, but she still had the same sort of at core, same issues that I had, where her dad wouldn't say I love you because it was seen as feminine. Her dad wouldn't hug her because it was seen as feminine. And her dad was no femininity. My dad's pretty much the same. However, she was like, what you have to do is break that shell because she said, like, the younger generation have been taught away that that kind of stuff's not okay. And generally speaking, they're not likely to change now they're older because they're sort of set in their ways. So it's down for you, the child, with the new, this is how it is now, to change that relationship. We can tell them that that's okay. That way you can obviously put that down to when you have kids, you can then obviously share that love with them, but also have a genuine connection with your family members, essentially. So from that point, I decided to take her advice. I told my dad, every time I went to see my dad, told him I love you. And I gave him a hug. At first, he gave the man's hug, you know, the whole, we punch each other in the back 2 or 3 times to be like, yeah, this is all okay. This is all okay. This is great. It's manly because we're punching each other in the back.
Yeah.
And then he moved to slapping each other on the back and saying back. And then about 3 or 4 months in, he started to say, I love you back. It'd be, at first, it was like an under your breath, like, I love you back. I love you. Like, I love you too, son. Like, it was like quiet, like maybe there's cameras here. Someone's looking at me. And then, you know, eventually I'm able to, until today, where I tell my dad I love him, he shouts it across the hall at me when I'm leaving because he lives in a block of flats. And so, like, okay, it's like he shouts it back. I hope you stay safe, you stay safe. You know, gives me a big hug every time I see him. And it was down to, I had to change that relationship. But changing that relationship wasn't about just that one relationship, you know, because having that deeper connection with my dad, where now I can sit and talk to my dad about things, about anything that I talk to with my mum about, just any issues that I'm having, anything that I just want to get off my chest, allowed me to then have a deeper connection, a friendship with my male friends, such as yourself or some of the other people that we know.
Yeah.
And allowing me to have that connection, then in turn allowed me to have genuine friendship with the females in my life. Because the way it was beforehand is that although we were friends, I don't think I had that genuine friendship with it as such.
Guys in the sense of friends.
Yeah, like guys and girls, that's the whole thing. Guys and girls can't be friends. Yeah. I don't believe that to be true. But at one point it was kind of hard to be sure. I think it depends because a guy's definition of friendship and a girl's definition of friendship tends to be different. So, so you'll see whenever a girl's upset, She'll call all her girls round. They'll all get together. They'll be as empathetic with each other as they need to be. Just have a great time. Be really emotional. Let everything out, and then get it all off their chest. Guys, ourselves, like I said, how it used to be, it's like, oh yeah, I'm a bit upset. Let's go to the pub and have a pint and talk about other things, and just leave that, like, just leave it there. Don't deal with it. Just leave it there till you forget about it. And
Yeah,
you can move on.
Yeah, can we just emphasize a little bit that that's more like a trait for the people who live in the West? Where I'm from, it's like it's different, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah,
just wanted to interject.
This is no, of course, yeah. This is me growing up. This is how I've seen things.
Yeah,
personally, I've only lived in the West.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so like I said, so like it was a case of I heard someone else, I can't remember where, but I read it before. Someone was saying that the reason that it becomes a bit different is because of our levels of friendship is different. So guys won't go to other guys with their problems or anything like that and just sort of like talk it out, be empathetic in the sense of, I'm going through a hard time. I just want someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Personally, that's not the case with myself. That's not the case with you. That's not the case with actually any of the guys that I know anymore, because I feel we've all come to a point.
Yeah, if I'm going through something, I do
talk
about it. Yeah.
That's it. That's what I mean. But
yeah,
obviously it took a lot of growth because we weren't always this close. And I know it was the same for a lot of other friends. That it's just we weren't always that close. But so that's where I see that the friendships were different. Whereas obviously girls usually have that. And so when a girl and a guy wants to be friends, as far as guys concerned, we can be friends. But a guy's friendship goes as far as going to the pub and or just doing something fun together. But that's it. Whereas a girl's friendship goes all emotional and stuff like that. Where generally speaking, growing up, the only times that I had that would be if I was in a relationship with somebody, they would essentially be my sole point of care. Like, I'm going through this. That I'm going to talk to you about it because I have no one else to talk to about it. I can't really do that with my guy friends because we don't do that. Now we do that.
Yeah. So okay. I can see, like, okay, I guess that I'll concede to say that would be toxic masculinity in terms of like, hey, you can't even say I love you to your dad. Like, it's super weird. Right now, it is weird because we're on this generation to go, wait, you can't even say you love your dad? What's wrong with you? If you say it out loud, it's so weird. But because the generations have been like so different, and I still think it's linked to like repression. Because as a guy, you have to do this, you have to do that, this and that. Like, for example, on my other side, my dad's in my life, but he wasn't like in it that much. So the thing I learned would be from like uncles, from like grandparents and stuff like that, and including my mom.
Yeah.
Always you'd hear it. Parents would tell you, family members would tell you, as a dude, you have to do this, as a dude, you have to do that. I was never told guys can't cry. So like, but society in general looked down on a person, like a dude crying or something. So it like made say I can't cry like everywhere or anywhere, obviously. There will be people. Okay, I've never cried to my friends, but like the example you said was okay. Like when you have a girlfriend, that's when you feel like you can tell them everything. Yeah. I still think we still practice that, and I'm confident again. I can see how that's toxic. My problem is just when like just somebody being weird who happens to be a guy doing something stupid, that being labeled as toxic masculinity. But like stuff like you not being, say, emotionally honest with your friends or the guys in your life, like your family members and type thing, that I can see how that's toxic, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like what I was gonna say was so you're taught to like, oh guy, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's toxic, but at the same time as well, I'm a bit sympathetic to the people who, let's say, created those rules, because like I always say, as humans, we are always evolving. Yeah. And there's also a saying that goes, nobody's perfect. I feel like all of those things exist for a reason.
I would just like to interrupt you right there.
No, you're not perfect. Shut up. You're not perfect.
Nobody's perfect apart from Mal. That's the whole saying. Say it all if you're going to say it.
Anyway, so people, if you think about us surviving and all that stuff. So, for example, let's say during evolution, there's two people in like a field or savannah. One of them hears rustling and he's like, I'm not going to take a chance. He runs away. And the other one goes, oh, it could be a bunny. Turns out it's a saber-tooth and he's dead. Literally, like, see, so somebody who was wise to run away, he continues to live and he then gets to pass his genes on. But as a lesson for his kids, he'd go, if you ever hear rustling in the I don't know, in the grasses or whatever, in the bushes, run away, because it could be a saber tooth. Yeah. Now, if you say go from there, say 100 or 200,000 years ago to now, where say we have cameras, we have infrared. If you hear it, you can probably use your infrared cameras and try to find out what it is before you like hightail it, you know. And even if it turns out it's something dangerous, we have guns, we have so many things that can help us survive. But going back, they didn't have that, so they had to make all of these rules for the survival of the species. So some of these traits, I can kind of see why they were made a rule. The only problem is nobody thinks to go back and go, oh, hey, I think we should update this thing, because like obviously stuff has changed. Technology is way better. Humans are like a lot nicer now. So that's the thing. That's the point. I think I get it. I'm not gonna say toxic masculinity doesn't exist anymore, but it just boils my blood when somebody just does something. He happens to be a guy. It's then referred to as being toxic when it's not. You know, like if you say anything, humans, we are so different. We do different stuff. Some people are good, some people are bad, some people are in between, some people are, you know, there's just a wide range, but in the end, it's still humanity. So it's the same way I see masculinity. There's so many ranges. There's like, okay, let's say a guy who's like, oh, my woman would never open a door or will never pay anything or whatever. That is a masculine trait, but it's because the person on the other side is benefiting. They will just want to see that positive trait of it, and then say another person, okay, it's not generally nice, but the thing is, we don't have to be nice to each other. I think we do it because it makes us feel good as well, and it's a nice thing to do, but you don't have to be. So like if somebody's being like all macho or whatever, it's just it's just on the other end of masculinity. So for me, we should take everything it comes with. And also, because we're not perfect, we are not going to get everything correct. So with the hugging thing, there's nothing wrong with hugging. There's nothing wrong to tell your boys, yo, listen, I'm really feeling down, this and that. And okay, sometimes the pop might be the way like we think will make you feel better, because we know once you get a little bit inebriated, you might feel better and you might be comfortable to talk about it in depth. But that to me is a lack of emotional intelligence almost. Because it's like, oh, okay, so let's say you're upset. The thing would be, hey, listen, let's talk about it. But also, like, I might be afraid that, oh, what are you going to say? I might not know how to help you, or it might be really awkward. Because that's the thing. These are things that, as guys, we've not been taught to deal with. And a lot of women, literally, because they're more empathetic than we are, they can be more expressive, and it doesn't even look remotely sus or whatever. I think the thing with most of the things we were told not to do with other guys is because it looks gay, I guess. You know, like you
can say it.
For example, if you hug your friend, subconsciously we know, or you can't do it too long, you know. One of us
you're enjoying that.
Yeah, exactly. One of us is going to start feeling comfortable and go, oh no, we have to stop now, you know. But you know, so okay, as we're evolving, we're getting over all of these things. I mean, it's slow, but at the same time as well, it's all part of masculinity. We are all evolving, so like at some point we'll get it right. I just hate toxic masculinity just being used bleakly. I think that's my thing. That's my issue. But
well, I think basically I understand where you're coming from with repression. I think a lot of toxic masculinity is repression in one way or another. However, I think where it becomes toxic is where it has a vastly negative impact on the rest of society. So the reason why I used that example that I use is because it allowed me to then have better friendships. Because, like I said, with the difference between friendship between men and women's friendship between women, it means that sort of certain things get miscommunicated. So, for instance, when a woman says she wasn't like you like that, she wants you as just a friend. You know, what's it? A man's friendship is different to a woman's friendship, and a woman's friendship is how often because men don't have a friendship like that. It's how it's perceived between as a relationship. It's like, oh, well, I want to share my emotions with you. I want to tell you how I'm feeling. I want talk about this, and then a man will see that, and then you see what it means on it. It's like when it's like, what's it, getting friend zoned by a woman is like, what's it, applying for a job, not getting it, and then they call you every week to complain about the person they hired. And it's like, well, that's one way to look at it, but that is purely because when you see it, and you've got that sort of, that's what a friendship is.
Yeah.
That's genuinely what a friendship is. You know, that's the same sort of friendship I have with my female friends. I now have, or say, the same sort of friends that I have with my female friends, I have with my male friends. And the only reason why that was is because I managed to close the gap between what I'd brought up to believe to what I had to force through. And then it allowed me to have that same type of relationship with my male friends that I have with my female friends. And now the female friend called me up and said, oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm there. Obviously, they don't go blah, 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 blah. Please don't slap me for that because I don't like it when you say that. But if you are, but ahead beforehand where I may have seen it like that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know that I ever have.
Yeah.
But I understood the thought towards it beforehand, whereas now I'm like, now I understand why that thought is even there.
Yeah.
And so it's a case of, it's because the friendships are different. Friendship means, so like subconsciously, like so you can read it in a dictionary, know what friendship means, but subconsciously between men and women, friendship means two different things. For a lot, but not for all.
In terms of guys, because when they get friend zoned, the reason I think it sucks is because they hope they were sexually attracted to the opposite sex, who then friend zones them. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be hard because let's say somebody's like a guy's like falling for the girl doesn't feel him, doesn't feel that way for him.
Yeah.
He then accepts the friend zone, and she obviously, because she's nice and she thinks she believes him, so she's gonna tell him about all the boys and all of that stuff. And that's the thing as well. That's the only thing we highlight when it comes to like friend zone. You go, call me and tell me about how problems of this guy's fucking her over, and I'm here, I'm a good guy, whatever. Like that's what I hear when people get friend zone, and I'm like, but no, like if you genuinely were friends from the get go. Yeah. Like you wouldn't care. Obviously, you care about the person. If somebody's hurting them, you'd be like, "Hey, listen, I don't think this person's good for you," or whatever. But because you don't have this stake of, "Oh, I want to sleep with them," the reason I think it sucks is because the guy, in a way, is not honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
like
not.
If you say you tell you that you're interested to a girl, and she's like, "Sorry, but I see you only as a friend," or whatever, she's been honest. Yeah. And then you go, "Oh yeah, I guess we can be friends." But most of the time, because there's that attraction, like that sexual attraction, it leads to you being jealous of all the other people who she's dating because you're thinking, oh, like I'm good for you. It just messes things up. But I feel like when I have friends, like female friends, and it's like completely platonic, like I couldn't care less like what they do because it's just like my boys. Like for example, you dating someone, oh, I'm happy for you or whatever, and if you fuck it over, I'm sorry. If I can advise you, I'll advise you, and I'll feel for you. But because the sexual attraction is not there's no like stake for me. So I think that's another thing. But I guess also that can be put under toxic masculinity. I wouldn't want to, and
I wouldn't put the friend zone under toxic masculinity simply because I've seen it happens on both fronts. I've seen it where our friend zoned a girl and a similar situation has arisen. It's that the actual friend zone itself is its whole own thing where I think generally speaking, whoever's complaining about being friend zoned is the issue, and they need to they either need to walk away.
It's more like an honesty issue more than masculinity.
Yeah, so like I think if you
both male and female are doing that, like you relegate yourself to being in the friend zone, even though you didn't want to, and you're hoping one day this person is going to see you as a potential lover or a suitor. So because you have that hidden, even if it's not hidden, like you just have that intention. It's always going to guide all your decisions, and it's going to lead you to being protective, overprotective, or jealous, or whatever. Because
it also cuts a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like I can be a shoulder to cry on, and then kiss me or whatever. So that's the thing. You're not being honest. So I wouldn't class that as toxic masculinity, to be honest, because it's just a human trait, because we do it. Yeah,
I mean, there are over 4 billion women in this as well, and there's almost 4 billion men.
Yeah,
whether you're a male or a female, and even if you're attracted to both or neither, that's still. However, there's always plenty more fish in the sea. So it's a case of if you've been friends and your only intention was a potential partner, then stick around, walk away. Because generally speaking, what you're going to do is hurt yourself, and then you're going to hurt that person as well. Because if that person's accepted you as a friend, because you said, yeah, all right, we'll be friends.
Yeah.
You're not just lying to yourself, but you're lying to them as well. And eventually,
exactly,
you're going to hurt yourself, or you're going to hurt them. And if you're interested in them in that way, then there's no point in being. There's no point because eventually you're just going to hurt them.
You're gonna hurt them. You're gonna also end up hurt because, like, if they never see you as a love interest, you're just gonna be in this like zone of just probably even anger. That's probably how, like, I don't know. It just gets worse. I'm not gonna give an example, but like it could breed to jealousy. It can lead to so many things that can harm the other person. But somebody might look at that and go, "Oh, that's toxic masculinity," and I go, "No, both men and women do that." It's dishonesty is maybe a scarcity mindset because you thinking, "Oh, like if this person doesn't love me, then no one can love me." And I'm like, "What? No, there's a lot of people on earth." But that's the thing, though. It takes like, how would I put it? Maybe like brutal honesty within yourself.
Yeah.
So like, that's the thing. Okay, yeah, I have been friend zoned and I've also been dishonest and I was fine with it when I wasn't. And it didn't end up well for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because she believed me that, oh, yeah, we're friends, and then she's telling me about all these other boys, and I'm like, fuck. But when I realized that I was doing this to myself, I was like, okay, cool. Hey, listen, I can't be friends with you anymore. It sucked to do that, but that's what you were supposed to do from like in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's a human trait. It's dishonest. There are things that are toxic. I'll call toxic masculinity. Going back to my point, I know I sound like a record, but not everything is. Some things are just human traits. Maybe guys do it more.
Yeah.
But I think it also stems from us not being emotionally mature. It's not all of us.
Google, we don't emotionally mature on average until the age 43. So,
shit.
Got a while to wait. So, yeah.
That's not good. I think the reason, a perfect example of us not being emotionally mature would be, when you just like, I don't know, just having a good day and your brain goes, hey, remember when you did that cringe thing before, and you just feel mortified, like, I can't believe I did that. Like, that's the thing. So to me, it's like, okay, yeah, we do all of these things. Some of them are good, some of them are not good, but it's all part of the evolution of like the human species. Yeah, I know we choose some things. We're like, okay, this is good. This is acceptable for a person to do, and these are not acceptable. And some of them really are not acceptable. For example, like murder.
Depends where you go.
Yeah, but like, okay, let's even get to that point.
And who you murder, and who you are.
Say again.
I said it depends on where you go, who you murder, and who you are.
There you go. Also, but that's the thing. Yeah, but like generally, it's like, oh, hey, murder is bad. And also, I was thinking about that actually the other day, and I was like, okay, why is murder bad? And I was thinking, okay, do you think some people don't kill because it's illegal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or immoral, or both?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's a lot of people that won't kill because it's illegal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that won't kill because it's immoral. And I think there's a lot of people that won't kill. Because I think the main reason why the people won't kill is there's a lot of the basis for a lot of our laws today, which is do unto others as you would have done to yourself.
Yeah.
Or however it goes. Because basically you don't want to murder somebody because then someone's going to come back and murder you. You don't want to rob for somebody because then somebody's going to come and steal everything you own. You don't want to cheat because then somebody's going to come back and cheat on you. Like it's a thing of like, it's a case of, I wouldn't like this happening to me. Yeah. And most people, I think in the sense of not, I wouldn't want this happening to me, so I don't want to do it to anybody else.
Yeah.
I think more in the sense of, if I do that, that's probably going to happen to me again. I don't want it to happen to me. So it's more of a self-interest thing. Is if you don't do it, it's not really going to happen to you. At least I think that's the illusion.
That's the illusion. Yeah, that's what like it's like expected, to be honest. But it's very interesting because like I was just thinking about like all of these things that like we were taught growing up. Oh, don't do this, don't do that, do this. This is good, that's bad. And I was just thinking, like, why? Because like for example, with the murder thing, let's do say a thought experiment because I don't have proof that this is how it happened. But say when we started realizing, oh, like there's safety in numbers, the more there's more people, it's just gonna benefit everybody else. And let's say then people started fighting over stupid shit and they killed each other. I can see how like murder can be something that was eventually made illegal based on like, say, once we started coming together as society, you know, also to retain the peace. Because if you think about it, you kill someone, you take more than their life.
Without any repercussions.
You've stolen them from their loved ones, you've stolen their potential, which is actually the worst. Because like, what happens? Maybe in a few months, in a few years, they would probably find a cure or something that's going to be beneficial to everybody for generations. But so you've killed the person, you stole their life, you stole them from their loved ones, you stole their potential. And if they were going to do something that was going to be beneficial for the whole human race, you stole them from like humanity. I can see how that kind of like trickles down to now. It's just, oh, it's illegal. So for the person who's not committing murder just because it's illegal, just think more than that. Think like, oh, like all of these things you're gonna steal from that person, their family members, and you know, humanity in general.
I think about it even more than just like murder and stuff like that, because I think that's the thing. But you got to think. I think the reason why, when I say it's because they think it could happen to them, it's like you hear tax the rich. When people say tax the rich, they're usually talking about people that make over 6 million. And you'll get people that make 85k, 100k, 300k, stuff like that. Like, which really weirdly, although is only slightly above the average, it's still a lot more than most people make. Like most people, like on a median, make between probably I'd say about between 20 and 30k. But like so, like they are. So I can see why these people see themselves as rich. However, they are relatively poor compared to the richest people in this country.
That's true. And
so, but like whenever you hear tax the rich, you'll see those people. Not even just those people. You'll see poor people all defending like, no, how dare you tax the rich? How dare you tax the rich? No, they pay their fair share. And you'll that's thrown around like how rich people pay 50% of like the top 60 richest people in England. In the UK even, pay 50% of the wages of everybody else. Which when you put it into that, when you put those sort of things out there, it sounds really good. Oh my gosh. 60 people pay as much as what's it 77,000 people. Oh my, that is a lot of money for just 60 people. But then when you look at actually what it accounts to, I think the what they pay is different. So whereas if you put it into that percentage, the amount they pay is that much. That's great, but it's a case of like it's another how do I put it? Here's one of those things. Another one of those posts about like the friend zone or stuff like that sort of ties into it. It's where it goes. I gave you it went somewhere along the lines of I gave you £10 and he gave you £20, so you went with him. The difference is all I had was £10 and he had 200. I mean, it's a super. I mean, it's not a stupid post. It is a post that you can take one way or the other. I think it has a lot of meaning to it. However, if things are down to money, then it's just not meant to be. So, I mean, it's great to. I mean, you have to date somebody with some sort of ambition. I could never sit there with somebody that was happy. Not that was happy as they are now, because I like people to be happy as they are and like person to be happy with themselves. But I'd also want someone that wants to achieve more. Wants to grow. Like my personal things, I want to see every country in the world. But not just every country. No, I want to just step foot and be like, oh yeah, I've seen this country now. I want to be able to explore that in its entirety. And so I've seen everywhere. But that's what I want. But like some sort of goal is what I desire. If we're going back to episode 1 where we're talking about why you type should type. Anyway, but that's what I mean. But like that quote itself is actually like take it away from the whole relationship side of things. I put it towards the people trying to protect the rich. That's what it is. It's like, you're like, oh yeah, they pay half of all the tax. But we're paying pretty much. We're paying the majority. We're paying like 30% of our income. Goes towards that. They're not even paying 1%.
But the thing is, though, in terms of that, you know, it's like almost on a different topic. But in terms of that, what I'm realizing more and more. I was actually watching a video yesterday. I haven't finished it yet. But it's this guy. He makes like 80 mil a year, and he was talking about like how he like paid less than like 10% of that towards tax.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because it's like, for example, just from what I remember, he has a C corp, which has an LLC, which like it just like different things that like he's doing just to distribute his money so he doesn't have to pay as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And the thing is though, that it's not like it's not hidden, it's not a secret, it's like public knowledge. Yeah. So like, instead of blaming the rich, I'd more blame the government. Okay, yeah, you can argue a case where, okay, the rich people are the ones who are influencing the law to look this certain way or whatever, so it benefits them. There's that, but also like the government is not gonna go like, oh hey, by the way, we have all this like tax loopholes that the rich are privy to that you are not privy to. Yeah. So it's like, okay, for example, if you're working, you're employed by somebody, you have no say in how much tax you pay. The government goes, hey, this is how much you need to pay. Before your wages reach your account, it's taken automatically. But I was self-employed for like 2 years. I had like 6 months to like literally collect everything and go, hey, this is how much I made, and I'm like, this is like, it's almost like, oh, I can get all the money, like everything I get paid for, I can take it and then go, okay, maybe I can put this towards expenses and that towards expenses, and then in the end it reduces my tax because like so I think, I don't know, I just don't want to completely blame the rich. I also want to say the government is part of that, because like the law, basically the law types of makes it easy for, say, somebody with a corporation or somebody who's self-employed to pay less tax than the person who's working, say, 60 hours a week. You know,
I mean, I think it depends. I think the difference is because when I say that, it is essentially, as you said, the rich pay and bribe to influence these MPs, and these MPs get to keep their spots. And sometimes it's a case of you can't replace an MP because there's literally the opposition doesn't have the money to run in the right council. Like I was basically in the town that I live in, which of course is different to the one that you live in. There's with Labour, so you've got Labour and Conservatives in every sort of the 5 or 6 districts. I think there's 5 or 6. In fact, no, because there's the little villages count as this town as well that are surrounding it. So there's about 8 to 12 in total, and of course, Labour and Conservatives are in all of them. Yeah, the other parties that you might have an interest in, because of money, which again is funded by corporations for most of the time, is they can only afford to run in certain districts. So even if they got 100% of the votes in one or the other, they're probably not going to get the seat unless nobody votes in the areas that they can't compete.
So the corruption exists, but also we can't also make tax be like proportional based on the example you said. Say somebody has a tenner and somebody has 100 quid, and they both get taxed like 10%. The one with £10 is going to lose a quid, and the one with 100 quid is going to lose a tenner. If you want to say who paid more tax, the one with 100 quid obviously pays more. So even though he has 10x more, he's still paying more tax than the person who has a tenner.
Exactly.
So like, in terms of like, how would I put it? In terms of just like, oh, okay, tax the rich. The rich are getting taxed. Like, they're not. I mean, some people are doing it willy-nilly. Excuse me.
Someone said you cannot make $1 billion. You cannot make. They said dollars. But we're not in America. Someone said you can make £1 billion. So you can't make £1 billion. You take £1 billion. Basically, to make yourself among the top 60 in the UK. To get to that position, you had to take from someone else. There's somewhere that you're probably underpaying or anything like that. It's hard to get yourself to. You've got to think you can become really rich. Without screwing people over. You don't become obscenely rich. Without somewhere along the way someone getting screwed over, not getting paid their fair share. If getting paid is small. There's always an expectation.
I entirely agree with that, to be honest.
Sorry?
I don't know if I entirely agree with that, to be honest.
Okay. Well, name me one person.
Mm.
Yeah, one person that's not rich,
Yeah.
but super rich. Somebody that's above 100 million, and that's setting the bar relatively low. Yeah, that's made it purely without screwing anybody over, without insulting anybody, that without just generally speaking, just what you'd call above board.
Okay, so do you mean like net worth, 100 million net worth, or?
No, okay. If you want to go net worth, then I'll say $1 billion, because that's a lot more than just money that you've got in your pocket.
Okay, okay. So he's not a billionaire, but I'd say LeBron James. He's worth 500 million.
That's not quite okay. You have to stay away from sports stars and stuff like that, because they get their money from from advertisement deals and stuff like that.
Okay, Rihanna, she's a billionaire now.
Yeah. Okay, and is she a billionaire?
Yeah, because of her Fenty brand, I think. Yeah, 1.7 billion.
Oh yeah. Oh, congratulations. You know what? And she's a Beijing beauty.
Yep.
Also her family last name is the same as my family last name. So if there's a chance we're related, Rihanna, hit me up. We could do some fun things as a family.
Okay. So yeah, your point. So you don't make $1 billion, you take $1 billion.
Yeah.
There you go. Rihanna's 1.7. Try to prove your point.
Try and prove my point. Well, to prove my point, I'd probably have to look into a lot to do with the Fenty and things like that and see where it comes from. But if I have a quick look, let's have a look at the pricing. Yeah, because a lot of that is to do with brand name.
Okay. Yeah, but the thing is, though, I agree with the take, but I feel like maybe the implication that comes with it, that's when I will not agree with. Because, for example, let's say she's selling lingerie. Yeah, it costs, say, I don't know, $5 to make a pair, and she sells it for 45. That would be someone taking advantage, but in general, that's how business has always been. Hello? I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you anymore.
Well, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I just said. Yeah. You said you can't say, oh, no, that's not the case, because that's how business has always been run, and that's how business runs. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Because essentially that brand there, yeah, her name would put a lot towards it. The brand itself puts a lot towards it. Yeah. But the people that are making the product, you think somewhere along the line, someone's getting shorted. And yes, they're selling it for more because they can, and that is how business works. Yeah. However, that is what's happening. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not
okay, but I almost feel like you're implying that they shorted those people on purpose. But let's say I want you to do something for me, and you charge me a rate, yeah, and then I use that and sell it for way more. I have an advantage of you, though, if you think about it, because you charged me a certain amount, which I'm like, okay, I'm happy to pay that. Like, nobody is gonna go say I want you to do something for me, and you go, okay, that will cost you 15 quid, and I go, oh no, you're undercharging me. I should pay you 30 quid. It would be nice for me to do that, but do I really have to?
Yeah, but then the advantage comes when I'm here charging you a certain price, and then you decide to go elsewhere because they come from a different country the money's worth a lot more, so it's less. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you on that side.
And that's what a lot of people do. And the fact is, that's what I mean. It's just a case of a lot of people do get underpaid. So you can't use one or two arguments to say that, no, that doesn't happen, or to say that that's not the case.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I didn't say that's not the
9 times out of 10.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Well, 9 times out of 10, it is the case. And 9 times out of 10, something like that is happening. That's how most of it. So just saying, oh, there's this one person, that's an argument. That's like saying, oh, yeah, slavery wasn't bad because that one person liked slavery. No, Uncle Ruckus thought it was good. That's not going to hold up. because
Yeah,
the
but
99%
if you want
isn't.
to be mathematical about that, then like you can say 99.999% slavery was bad, then the zero, the exception of the rule 0.0001%, it was good. Like that's to me, it's just honest. It's
No,
honest.
and then you can say, oh yeah, it's good, but that's essentially what you're doing. You're using one sort of to put it there. Like if it's not the majority, you
Yeah.
can't say no, that's not the case, because it is the case most of the times.
Most of
If
the
it's not
time,
the
that's
case
the
for the
thing.
one
You say
time,
that though.
that
You
means
are saying
it could
every
be.
time that happens, that's the case, and I'm trying to say no, I don't think so, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah, no, but then if it's the case 9 times out of 10, then
Yeah.
something needs to be done. Because generally speaking, saying that no, it's not the case because it's one person, all that actually does is highlight the fact that the 99% that are of those people that are exploiting others and are doing it
Okay.
shouldn't have to do that to get there. That's the only point that you're explaining, and they are the majority, and so
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be done. And
All I'm
yes,
trying to say, all I was trying to say was it could be possible that you can get to that obscene or insane amount of money without being completely horrible piece of shit. That's just what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's
also,
it's 1 in a billion.
yeah, but okay. For example, okay. For how about this? How about this example? This is really crazy. Okay, so let's say something costs you $1 or £1. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you sell it for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your cost is £1, and then your profit is also £1. Let's
Yeah.
take out tax, take out everything else, and you
Yeah.
have I don't know 2 billion customers.
Mm-hmm.
You still have 2 billion, and you're not horrible. So it's possible.
And how long? How long would that be? Actually taking out tax and everything.
That's
Yeah.
not the
So how long
thing.
you'd have?
I
Yeah, but
literally
it's not.
ignore tax, ignore like I don't know distribution costs. Say it's a software or something.
Well, it makes sense because if you're a billionaire, you kind of get tax and costs. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think we'll agree. We'll come to a conclusion because I don't completely agree with you. I see the point you're trying to make. I get it, but I don't know. I just feel it cheapens it to go. Well, you can't. Yeah, that's the thing though. But every amount of money you make, you sort of take it
Yeah,
because in a way you exchange it with something. Like that's kind
of
of how the
equal
system.
value. Yeah, of
Yeah,
equal value.
not really. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's how
Okay.
it's supposed. That's what contracts is made of, and
Let's
that's what it's supposed to be. You
Yeah,
pay for what
it's
it's worth.
not though. It's not.
The
So
main
let's say
issue
you
is
work for the past 8 hours. Yeah,
Mhm.
you get paid a certain amount. The company is probably gonna make 4, 5, 10x that based on your work.
Supposed
But
to
you
be.
agreed to be paid that much though, didn't you? So
Yeah, but that's because there's this thing called eating and sleeping and drinking. It's stuff that people enjoy. You know, it's something called living. That sometimes you have to take something that screws you out of.
yeah. But like I'm like I get it all, but I'm just saying like you technically are not being screwed because you accepted that. Hello? I can hear you, but it's a bit like glitchy.
Right? Can you hear me?
Okay. You're back now, yeah.
Yeah. What was the last thing you heard me say?
I heard you say you're disagreeing with the the amount of money you make is based on what you accepted, basically.
Yeah. So basically, it's a case of necessity over what your actual worth is. It's like
Yeah,
this
but that's
lockdown
the
itself.
thing, though. So like
No,
that's the
no,
thing.
that's what
You looked at oh, I need to pay for my house and I need to pay for food or whatever, and this amount is gonna help me do that. Yeah, so you agree to it.
No, not always. That amount might not help you do that. It might help contribute towards it, but it's not like you've got. Not everybody has the choice to be able to go. Oh, I'll accept this job because I can have a comfortable living and I'll enjoy what I'm doing. Some people take a job because they need it to live, and sometimes it's to barely live, but just so they're not out on the street starving, or because it's scrutinised, so not taking legitimate benefits that they're entitled to. Now, it's a case of if you need those, then you should take them. But then people will look at them and like, oh, how comes they're taking that? What case in point, Richie Sunak, yeah, trying to be all the golden, also trying to cut benefits for those people. He gave a tax relief to his wife, who is the daughter of a billionaire. I'm trying to find the story, but it's a case of.
But that is public law. Like right now, if you had a partner, yeah, and you're married, your tax automatically becomes reduced because of it. Like, obviously you have to say that you're in a partnership and whatever. You have to prove that you do, but like that's the law. That's how it is. We all like it's not hidden or whatever. So
you're talking about something completely different to what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You're talking about the tax bracket rather than what I was just talking about just then. But the thing is that they take advantage of it that much. It's a case of no.
I'm not saying that doesn't exist.
So my point was, before you tried to give the 1% argument, the 1% of the 1%,
right,
is that they should be paying higher. Yeah, if they make more, they shouldn't be. If we're paying 30% of our wages, then they should be paying 30% of their wages too. For the simple fact of that's what would be fair. You can't argue that they're paying half as much, they're paying half of total tax, when really it's less than 1% of their wages, whereas everybody else is struggling to make ends meet, to be able to live, to even go on holiday once a year. Some people can't afford to leave the country for a little bit, for a day or two. For the simple fact of they're not making enough money to do that and pay taxes and live and pay their rent and everything like that because of that. So if people are having to pay so much that it's making them not able to live a comfortable life, then there shouldn't be. It shouldn't be them that have to suffer with the tax increase and stuff like that. The people that make more, should pay more. Not but they already pay half. Okay, great, they pay half, but they're not paying as high a percentage. Yeah, they might be paying more than I pay. Yeah, but I'm paying. It's like if you're in a relationship, it's not always 50-50. If you make 100,000 and your missus makes 20,000, or even vice versa, your missus makes 100,000, you make 20,000, you want to go on a 2-week holiday trip. She's not going to go, this is a 10,000 trip. This is a £10,000 holiday. So I'm going to put in 10,000. You put in 10,000. That's half of your annual wages.
Yeah.
That she wants to go on that, or you want to go on that. And the same thing, you're not going to expect her to pay half her wages to it.
Okay, so your argument is it should be proportional to how much you earn.
Oh yeah, my argument is in terms of that is that it shouldn't be. Oh yeah, but you already paid. Those arguments don't stand up. It should be proportional. The thing is like when you get a certain level of wealth, like you said earlier about having to, how they can pay. You don't get to choose how you pay yourself when you're employed. When you're employed, you earn a certain amount, it then goes up a tax bracket. You earn a certain amount more, it goes up a further tax bracket. Whereas if you've got your own company and you are highly rich, you can do things like either keep the money in the business, knowing you can access it any time that you need to, or pay yourself minimum wage. Yeah, in terms of the minimum non-taxable wage, which is 11.5K as your annual salary, and then pay the rest in dividend. Because dividends tends to be lower than the income bracket above 50K.
Yeah, I think it's 19%.
Yeah, above so dividends. No, last time I checked, I haven't actually checked for about a year or two now. It was just locked. But it was 7.5. Dividend tax that.
Well, for me, my argument from the get-go was just tax the rich or whatever, but just don't them wholeheartedly because they are taking advantage of a system that the government's letting. Like
there is nothing about. See, there was nothing in my argument about hate. My argument was about that they need to be taxed proportionately, but they actively avoid it because if they're not doing it themselves, or whether it's public image or thing, they'll be paying people to do it and get those loopholes. And there's nothing wrong technically with exploiting a system like that. However, there is something inherently wrong with doing that, because whilst you're taking, essentially what you're doing is you're siphoning from the people, because the money that doesn't go to tax, doesn't go to the underfunded NHS, then doesn't go to the fire services, doesn't go to the police departments, doesn't go to the schools and education, doesn't go to it doesn't go to universities and things like that. So therefore people end up either having to pay more tax themselves to cover the costs of the ones that's been siphoned out of the country or out of people's pockets and being hoarded like a dragon. And it's not going towards those things. They're either having to pay more for those things or having to take cuts on those things.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we figured it out and we made people pay their fair share of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
How do we guarantee that the government collecting that taxes is going to spend it on the things that are necessary?
Well, that's the thing. That's another thing that would have to be looked at, because it's another thing, like as you see that we've had in the news lately about the whole of Conservative parties having parties whilst we're all in lockdown. It's at the moment, it's not really a government we can trust. However, that's something that you'd have to work on as well, and putting in place people that you know weren't going to do that.
Well, I
And the way
have to
to
work
do
on.
that. Sorry.
Well, you said that's something I have to work on. Okay.
Well, we as a whole, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, the way to do that probably would be something along the lines of not letting them be in charge of their own wages, not letting them be funded by corporations, or being able to put themselves in a position where they can take bribes, like where they are able to have a second job and also sign on as a business consultant for a certain firm that they can then put contracts towards without putting them on the open market to actually give it to whoever's best, just give it to whoever's closest to you, or being able to compete where it's like, oh yeah, my uncle owns a construction company, so I'm going to give it to his firm. Oh no, it's all above board. They're really great, I promise.
Is that toxic masculinity?
That's not toxic masculinity. No, that is something that needs to be done. It's something that you'd have to separate so that there's not a chance where they can become corrupted by allowing that. But you know, that's something that would have to be worked on and agreed by a lot of people, and a lot of people, you know, they don't have that trust that they feel that could ever happen. And a lot of times when you lose hope, you just accept things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was interesting.
But back to the original point, which I'm trying to remember now, because you sort of took me off track. I was telling the story about.
Off track. Okay.
Yeah, you knocked me off track because you decided to try and argue your point. It was a side story. And then let me go back. I'm trying to remember. So I was making the point about giving, because that was just a.
You broke up again. Hello.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
There you are. I can hear you now.
So yeah. So yeah. Sorry, I just had I've had 2 calls during this. I'm gonna have to end it now. I'm just trying to remember the point. See, you took me off the point because you decided to argue something, and it was a really good point. It's something completely different, and we are off talking about government and riches because you just
try to remember your points next time, mate. Come on.
No, try not to distract. I'm just going to I'm going to have to save it for next time. Well, that's all. That's been a therapy session, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've been your host, your co-host, Mal, and we've had Mustafa here today. So how are you feeling about it, Mustafa?
Well, that was interesting. It was interesting that I started with the position, and I think the more I talked about it and the more I thought about it, I realized, okay, maybe it got some merit. That's me referring to your toxic masculinity thing. I just still, yeah. You got the point. You get the point. I don't have to repeat what I said before.
All right, as you heard it here, folks, Mustafa was completely wrong. He thought that he was just, he was about it all, and he was like, actually, I didn't really know. And then myself, I also came to terms with that he wasn't completely wrong, only 98%, and I agreed with some of the stuff that he was saying.
Right.
But again, being me, I'm always majority right. So
thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.